I'm Al Bubba Baker, former NFL All-Pro, Rookie of the Year in 1978, and I had a wonderful football career. But you know, when your career's over, you have to find something to do. So I am actually a disciple of Melton Jenkins Jr., who I refer to as my Daddy Jr., who just celebrated 61 years in the barbecue business. And taught me everything that I know about barbecue, but he also taught me to dream big. My Daddy Jr. always said, it takes the same amount of energy to think small as it does to dream big. And so I was a big dreamer. I remember while I was trying to decide if my wife was going to be the woman in my life for the rest of my life, I remember how proud I was that I was a barbecue guy, and I took my wife down to meet my Daddy Jr. and family in Jacksonville. And my wife was, very, very tiny. I think she referred to herself as a size 2. And so my uncle came out all proud, and he had a big old tray, one of those serving trays with, oh man, full of spare ribs and chicken, and it was all barbecue. And he went and he laid that tray down on the table in front of my wife, and he was so proud. I'll never forget the look on his face. She wasn't my wife yet. I was courting her at the time, and I brought her home to impress my family down to Jacksonville. And I'll never forget my wife's comment to my uncle. She said, "I don't eat barbecue because it's too messy." In my family, if you don't eat barbecue, something's wrong with you. So they still think something's wrong with my wife, but let me see, we've been married 35 years, so that was 37 years ago. Having that happen, an idea was born, but like most ideas, it didn't have a name, it didn't have a direction, but it had a place in my heart, because the thing that I wanted to do the most was I wanted my girlfriend, Sabrina Smith, to sit down and enjoy the tender, moist, juicy meat that comes from between those ribs. There's nothing like it. My wife just would not eat barbecue with me, and actually, we've been married 35 years, but that was almost a deal breaker. Later on, around, I want to say the early 2000s, I decided to start keeping a record, keeping track of how I was trying to get those bones out of those ribs. We figured out how to get the bones out of there consistently. So we were working on opening up a restaurant in Avon, Ohio called Bubbas Q, world famous barbecue and catering, and the world famous was set on, we wanted to have a world famous vision. Now keep it in mind, we don't have a label, we don't have a concept, we don't know where we're going. We just had faith that what we were doing was someday gonna be world famous. So we opened a restaurant. We introduced in 2006, January of 2006, we introduced the Bubbas Q deboned baby back rib steak. And we weren't really able to put a value to the fact that it was a patented product, but we knew we needed to pursue a patent secondarily to the process. So we introduced it. We started to think about what can we do with it other than the restaurant. Well, we put it in our catering. Well, it took off in catering. And we had a lot of people that started to order it outside of the building. They thought it was a great idea. And the fact that we could make all kinds of recipes with it that you couldn't do with a bone-in rib. And unbeknownst to any of us, we found out that the deboned baby back rib steak was selling twice as much as America's favorite rib, the bone-in baby back rib, and it was selling 3 times more than the St. Louis rib. And a light went off in both mine and my daughter's head, Brittany, who at that point, I decided to make her my partner because she motivated me to finish the project. Both my daughter and I, we knew we had something special. Around 2008, right as the economy took a tank, we found out that in order to survive in the different seasons and the different markets and the different business and the challenges and the roadblocks that you have in being an entrepreneur, you have to have a signature item. You can't do everything well. You better have one thing that you do exceptionally well. Next thing we know, 2010 is here, on our way to 2011. And what we did was we went to a local grocery store and we asked the grocery store's owner, could we rent his plant in the downtime. We figured out how to use the fancy equipment and within the specifications of what it took to qualify to sell meat in the grocery store. We did so well in the 5 stores, he put us in all 26 stores. And we were excited and also frightened to death because we had never made that volume of deboned baby back ribs. Moving forward, we figured it out. It was probably one of those days that the guy that was managing the plant told me that one day you're gonna look back and you're gonna see this and laugh at it. Well, I'm still not laughing. Okay? Because it was a nightmare. We go to Shark Tank. We get a deal with Damon John. We come out of this and we bring a guy on board who's famous for taking a little known company called Fubu and turning it into a $600 million business. And the one thing we talked about was that scary word, scale, was you're gonna have to scale your business. And needless to say, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of hurdles, a lot of hiccups, as we refer to. And every last one of those hurdles, roadblocks, and hiccups had a lesson to it, had a reason for happening. So moving along, we decided that we needed a co-packer. After 2,700 phone calls, I meet a company called Rastelli Foods Group, a family business. We met with this family. They saw our vision. And we did a 3-way deal. Rastelli Foods Group, Damon John and Shark Tank, Shark Branding, and Bubbas Q. And it freed me up from producing the product. It freed me up from marketing. Damon took over the marketing. The Rastelli Foods Group took over making the product. We put our heads together and we rolled our sleeves up, and we all agreed that this was going to be a journey, a rough journey, because no one had a real boneless baby back rib steak. Okay, so how did we make this? Well, I'll tell you like I tell most people. If I tell you that, I gotta kill you. So we took our patent, We went through the process with the Rastelli Foods Group. The Rastellis source the product for us. They make it for us. And then they support us, and Damon John market it. And now we're in 3,000 grocery stores. And we recently did a deal with Carl's Jr. and Hardee's for £1 million. And like I said, we're on the journey, and we're not looking back, we're looking forward. I'm Al Bubba Baker, co-owner of Bubbas Q, now named the Boneless Baby Back Ribs.